Poland right now is the most dangerous place in whole Europe. What, Alex? What are you talking about? A booming economy? All newspaper, everyone says it's the safest country in Europe. Well, that picture, which everyone is repeating, is a picture of what was being done and built for Poland over the last 35 years. So you see now as a developed country with strong economy and relatively safe comparing to other European countries. You see, the problem is this picture reflects the past. If you would want to move to Poland now or anytime soon, you would do yourself a favor if you actually looked into a picture about the immediate future, I'd say 12 to 24 months. And that picture looks much different to what you see now. And I'm going to explain you exactly where the Poland is facing biggest dangers, and I mean existential dangers. I think that video might trigger lots of Poles, especially Poles living in Poland or Poles thinking about moving to Poland. And I get it. It's hard sometimes to confront your beliefs. It's very hard in fact, right? It's like you can't have an argument with somebody who's blindly believing in something. But for anyone else who is considering or, fantasizing and dreaming about, oh, I wish I could move to Poland, I'm going to tell you about dangers, and maybe it will give you some more comfort about the country you're actually currently living in. In my case, it's the UK. And don't get me wrong, Poland is a beautiful country, amazing people. But Poland is about to get, is about to get a historical lesson about how not to waste 35 years of amazing growth and potential. So I'm going to start with the most important thing. I'm going to keep it brief. I'll try. The video might be a bit longer because there's about 10 points I'm going to make. But I'm going to start with the three most important ones, immediate ones, especially the first one, which is the immediate threat of a civil war. And it's not like the one you hear in the UK, oh, we're going to have a civil war. It's not going to happen in the UK, not at least not on this scale. It's possible in Poland, and with the immediate effect. Okay, so you see, as you know, Poland, there's a conflict. They have a war on their border, right, for the last 3.5 years, soon 4 nearly. And Poles, over the last 3.5 years, expressed, in my opinion, mad or crazy even, openness to everything happening around that war without considering potential consequences down the road, and today is down the road, as well as the benefits for the country, not to mention a real, business approach, say, hey, we give you this, what you get us in return, because that's how politics work, unfortunately. For the last 3.5 years, Polish politicians, including ex-Polish president, and that's the point I'm going to make about in a second, because we have a new Polish president in Poland since last month, and that's where everything changed. So Polish president would say things like, oh, thanks to Ukraine fighting their war, we are safe. I suppose to some degree, yes, we can argue about this, whose conflict it is, etc. I'm not talking about this. But for the 3.5 years, Polish government, Polish officials were openly saying in the media everywhere how grateful every Pole is to Ukrainians fighting their war for Poland without us going there and fighting, right? And this led to belief of 3.5 years belief that what they say must be true. If you're a Ukrainian in Ukraine or in Poland, you actually believe in that. Why not? You've got politicals saying that. Polish government accepted, I think, more than 2 million Ukrainians without question asked, and gave them welfare. Okay, paid them money for that, no question asked. Even some of these people went back to Ukraine, or they have sent family back, they still get money in Poland. Something we kind of know from the UK, but it went much bigger, much faster. So for the last 3.5 years, the whole community, Ukrainian community, was like, oh my God, they really love us. We're doing something really important for them. They're paying us money. They're paying us for everything. Poland is paying for Ukrainians styling internet. Okay, so all the money for internet across the whole country is being paid by Polish government. So Elon Musk is being paid by Poles, so the Ukrainians have styling internet. Not many people know about this, right? But I'm not judging it. I have my opinions, but it's not about this. What I'm saying is, this is what it was last 3.5 years. Now, the problem started with last month with a new Polish president who basically said, no, enough of that. Just this week, he's just refused to sign a new or extend a law with the welfare for Ukrainians. He said, no, not going to happen. Now, the problem is, he said, we're going to cut this welfare, stop with end of the month of September. Yes, this September. So 2 million Ukrainians in Poland were basically told, hey, remember this 3.5 years? We said how great it was and we're going to give you everything and thank you so much. We changed our minds drastically, and from now we're going to pay you no more. At least no people who, only the people who work in Poland, we're going to give you eligible for welfare. Now, again, I'm not getting into how good or bad it is. I think the whole problem started a long time ago where Poles, as I said, crazily, with mad belief on something, decided to just let everyone in with no plan, no structure, no kind of understanding what to expect from each other and how long it's going to last. Like, a plan, right? There was no plan. So now Poles being Poles, they're making another reactive decision when they say, no, enough of it. We don't like it. There are differences, historical differences between Poles and Ukrainians. Ukrainians refuse to address those. We've had enough. We're going to cut the welfare. Pretty much overnight. So Ukrainians have now 1 month to adjust their lives, or they're going to have to go back to torn apart country. Now, you can imagine this caused a lot of confusion and anger. And while Poles have their own opinions and they should be respected in their own country, same as Brits in their country, and that's what we see in Britain, people are getting furious. Fortunately for Poland, it all happened without understanding. You know, Poland's government built the whole narrative for 3.5 years. And now they suddenly changed that without explaining. The Polish people back in Poland, they think everybody understands our intention, what we do, that doesn't work this way. There never was a clear communication apart from, hey, you're the good guys, we're going to support you forever. Poles gave them, hundreds of tanks, aircrafts, fighter jets, all of it, money, everything, brought millions of people in, and now they're saying, no, we made a mistake. Sorry, we're going to have to go back. That's not how you do it. You can't. It naturally brings anger, and it's going to cause lots of problems. Right now, you have videos on social medias from Ukrainians threatening Polish people, saying they're going to burn things, there'll be violence openly. They're saying it already. You have a Ukrainian journalist living and working in Poland who's called Polish president, the one who's vetoed this extension of this welfare. He called him like a Russian name for a thug or something. And there was a big, massive protest from politicians saying you can't say that about Polish president. He lost his job, but it's brewing to the point where now it's almost out. It popped. It's got to the point where Ukrainians openly threatening Poland for what they've done because they believe they should be given those things because Poles told them they should, and now Poles telling them no, you're not going to get it anymore because this danger of it. Bear in mind, if God forbid the conflict in Ukraine goes really bad for Ukraine, and we know there is no peace coming anytime soon as promised, what do you think happens next? Where do you think Ukrainians will start running from to? Where they will start running back to Poland? There's already 2 million Ukrainians really unhappy. There will be another more of them with lost family members, with destroyed by war, with OCD, what is it called? When you got this post PTSD, right? They will come to, what do you think is going to happen with combat experience? And on top of it, I'm just going to move on to the next point, but on top of it, a whole Europe, Ukraine, and most well, Russia is going to use it against Poland. Of course they will. They will sow a further division. If you were Russians, it's perfect for you. It's a gift. Say, oh, hang on, we can actually drive this narrative further and divide Poland and Ukraine more so they start fighting each other. So guess who benefits? And now it's my prediction, okay? It's just my prediction, but mark my words. Poland, soon enough, will be blamed for the conflict and for the failed outcome of the conflict in Ukraine. I don't know how much failed. I'm not saying they completely collapsed. The war will, the Russians will, but it's not going well. It's probably going to get more difficult in coming months because something has to happen. There is no peace. So when things start going really bad, somebody needs to point a finger somewhere. It's not going to be Ukrainians saying, oh, it's us. It's not going to be Germans. It's not going to be Boris Johnson who signed all this, made Ukraine sign this deal or something, or refused to sign a deal. It's going to be finger pointed out at Poles, saying that's because of them, because they're crazy. They're doing one thing, they're saying this, then they're changing. Trust me, that is what I'm worried. I hope I'm wrong, but this is how I see the near future. And when this happens, Poland will be isolated, surrounded by enemies from every single side, and obviously Russians will use it to their benefit one way or another. Now, let's move on to the second most important part, which I think is the economy. A booming Polish economy, right? We hear about this all the time. Now, I'll tell you quickly, briefly, what is Polish economy built from. So, there's a big part of services, some manufacturing, big part of agriculture, and some tech, IT, I suppose. So if you go to manufacturing, Poland has been very busy and very successful in manufacturing car parts and electronics for other companies, okay? So basically German companies or Western companies were producing parts, car parts, for example, in Poland in the big numbers. So the Poles do not own the company for which they produce. They just providing service. They outsource, or the company outsourcing services to Polish companies. What do we know about car manufacturers in Europe? What do we know about sales of cars in Europe? They're going through the absolute down the hill, right? They went off the cliff and they're in free fall. It's an absolute disaster. German car manufacturers and Europeans can't compete with Chinese. Nobody's buying electric cars anymore. Europeans, German factories, they're closing their own. So German manufacturers closing their own factories in Germany. What do you think is happening in Poland? Exactly the same thing. The companies manufacturing those parts for cars or for electronics, they're closing their factories. If you add on top of it one of the most expensive energy prices in whole Europe and expensive labor, which is now, it wasn't maybe 20 years ago, but it is now, you got a mix which basically companies can't afford to pay for. So they're going to basically closing down. They've already started and it's going to only accelerate because you can't produce car parts for non-existing cars or sales from main company, right? And the big part is the Polish economy, Polish manufacturing economy has got no real Polish businesses behind it. So there's only services. They're only as strong as all other companies and countries around them are. And as we know, Europe is doing really bad, particularly Germany is, I think, in a recession, or has been for long. I mean, it's like really bad. Poland follows. You can't maintain strong economy if Germany's economy is not doing well, regardless of how much Poles don't like Germans and vice versa. The agriculture, I'm sorry, and that is wrong, but that's how the world works. Farmers are not respected and agriculture is not really profitable business, although it's so important, right? It's like we need food. Same thing happens in the UK. We have our farmers who are being constantly punished for being farmers, which is unfair, but I'm saying this is the way it is. You can't build your great economy based on agriculture as Poland is. There was a lot about infrastructure and real estate. Again, real estate is in crisis for the last year or maybe more in Poland. Same as across Europe. Prices are going down. People can't afford it. It's ridiculous. The infrastructure Poland has been building, it hasn't been built for the growth. It has been built to sustain the growth, and not to generate any further, right? So it's as much as they build amazing motorways and parks and football fields and whatever, like it's really nice. Poland looks beautiful. It's really nice to walk around and it's easy to drive. Traffic is okay. This on its own, the infrastructure does not generate growth and income. Important infrastructure, important innovation, like massive airports, which has been promised to be built for like years and nothing's been done because they keep fighting against each other, the governments. Electric cars, our own electric cars, Polish electric cars, all those things, AI centers or something, none of it has been done. Nothing. There's nothing done, nothing of real importance of driving the growth and the economy is there. It's all this infrastructure ready to provide its services for growing infrastructure of other countries. So we can maybe export apples and some car parts to other countries. This is already finished. It's not been fully materialized yet, but it will, because there's a delay between main country going down and their suppliers. Now, the next thing is AI and IT. Now, you see, for many years, and I worked with companies from AI from Poland through my businesses here in the UK, there were a lot of businesses offering services in IT, a whole of like broad field of IT. Now, things changed over the last year with tech particularly. We have more AI and really rapid tech development across the whole world. Unfortunately, this never happened in Poland. So all those companies building fancy websites are out of business now. All these people writing things, and unless you have really AI-oriented business, which are very few comparing to the whole market, you're basically out of job. And I know the companies are struggling to get the clients, as before they would get clients from Western Europe, England, or even America. Now they can't get clients because nobody wants to work with them. They're even expensive as any other companies across Europe. So there's no more competition as much. They're not competitive enough. And they're not good enough with the tech. They're very smart. We have amazing engineers and people with really smart, good builders and IT professionals, but there is no infrastructure for that. Okay, so it's different to have motorway, but not having a data centers or AI centers or whatever that takes. And this market is shrinking a lot. You can't outsource this anywhere to Poland because it's too expensive and it's non-existing. And on top of it, I don't know if you guys know, but the USA, the biggest chip manufacturer in the world for AI, has put Poland on some restricted list. So basically, they graded countries of what type of chips they can receive for their economies, right? And like UK has got the top grade, Western Europe. Poland has got less, so they're like China or something, or even maybe less. So like we can't get the same grade top AI chips as other countries can. Do you see what I'm saying? It's just not, you can't build economy in AI world and the tech revolution when you can't even get a chip imported from America at the same as other countries can. It cannot. So the economy is going absolutely nowhere. And the biggest problem I've ever had is the wasted potential of 35 years, because Poland has never managed to make a real global, international, successful business in anything, okay? The biggest business I know successful is called InPost, and you can see them in the UK, but they do like lockers for deliveries, right? So amazing business, tons of money. The guy who's made it is a proper entrepreneur. I love it. Great story and all of that, but it's not enough to drive global economy or to be a serious player in the market. His economy, again, is on a service level economy. He's providing lockers, so Amazon or other providers can drop the package there for you as a client, and you can pick it up from the locker rather than waiting for the delivery at your home. But it's not, I'm sorry, it's not innovative enough in order to just keep growing the economy, right? We don't have car manufacturers, we used to. We don't have tech manufacturers. We don't have even infrastructure for tech. No businesses. All the biggest businesses in Poland, which were driving growth for the last 30 plus years, they are all international. They are owned by other countries. We either sold the Polish-based businesses back in the day, years ago, for cheap money, or we just welcome companies coming from other countries and opening their own businesses, right? So there's no serious one single player across there anywhere business built and kept in Poland. I'm sorry, if you know anything about business and the reality of the world, that is not a good sign in the world where we are right now. And the third one, very important, very on topic right now, which is immigration. Everybody thinks Poland is the safe, amazing place across other countries. It has been safe until now a lot, yes. I remember Poland when it was extremely dangerous in the 90s. Gangs, like shootings, killings, all of it. People were fighting, everyone was stealing each other, like lawless country. And right now, Poland managed to get out of it. Amazing, hard work, amazing job, very consistent society with consistent values. But because of the immigration, it's now going down towards what it used to be in the 90s, in my opinion. Now, I'm not only talking about immigrants from Ukraine, which I mentioned already, right? It's a huge problem. There's 2 million or more. Not to mention the potential of others coming in as we speak, or whenever the conflict turns, or whatever happens. That's going to be an absolute disaster. But we already have in Poland immigrants from countries like somewhere in South America committing the horrendous, most brutal crimes we've ever seen. And these keep popping up on, at least on, well, I don't follow it much, but when I see something Polish news around, I understand, I see it, and it keeps popping up, right? The headlines. And there are migrants coming from countries like Venezuela, Colombia, and they're just doing horrendous, brutal crimes, something we never seen back in Poland. And we don't know, Polish people in Poland don't know exactly how to deal with it. Obviously, Poles, with their bravado, they go and help as much as they can. Like if there's somebody needing help, which is great, this is what I love about Poland and Polish people, they will go and help. If there's a woman being attacked or kid, they will go and help. They will be very brave and they will just deal with the problem. But the problem is, the bigger problem is like this is now getting so common that people don't know how to deal with. In fact, the immigration got so bad that Poland and Germany decided to close their border. And it used to be open Schengen, right? You just go through like nothing. They put back controls on borders because there was the immigration from Germany back to Poland. It was out of control. We've had buses of people being thrown from Germany to back to Poland. And these people were just, suddenly you see, videos of just groups of strangers wandering in some towns across Poland with no reason, no places to stay, no job, nothing, right? And it's been going on. It was going so much that, again, Polish people, they are this way. Polish people do organize themselves and they send patrols, like normal people, family people were patrolling borders in order to stop Germans throwing their immigrants back to Poland. And this hasn't been solved. It has been paused for now because there are sort of controls back on the border. So you now have potential of the civil war, the highest anywhere in Europe. Nothing is even close, not even America, nothing, no other country is as close to civil conflict, civil war as Poland is between Poles and Ukrainians. And this only grow, they will only grow that division because Russia will get involved. There are lots of countries having interest in making sure there's a division and the division grows between two nations. As Polish governments and Polish leadership have got zero plan whatsoever, how to deal with it, how to mitigate risks, nothing. It's only going to grow. The economy is absolutely getting to nowhere. There is no hope for the future growth. So as far as we grew up until now as country, as Poland, that is it. There is no more potential to growing it further. So every single business now is facing challenges of high cost of labor, electricity, unstable politics, all of it. It's really that bad. And then if you think about it, it's like wages have never managed, the prices of everything are almost as high as they are in the Western Europe, where the wages are nowhere near as high as we get, even in the UK. Even this, the average UK salary, 30 grand a year, is I think it's like 10 times more than what average Polish salary is. And I'm not talking about Polish salary from, I don't know, some top earners from Warsaw or somewhere. Like there are lots of people with lots of money, of course. You can see it in Warsaw anywhere. Like lots of people with lots of money. But the average person in the smaller towns are living way worse. Their lifestyle is way worse than what it is in average cities in London or anywhere in Western Europe. So if you I'm sorry, but if you see all these things together, it's really hard for me to justify how great Poland is going to be for the next 10 years. Not to mention 10. I'm talking about 2 to 5 years. I'm talking about, as I say, England is so low about everything that the only way forward is going to be some sort of turnaround, right? There's not much more room left to go further down in England. So in England, we're going to go from here, there, and then we just eventually bounce back. And I expect this within the next 1 to 3 years. But in Poland is here. The room for growth is that much. It's the opposite to what England is. And room to go down is a lot. It's the last 35 plus years to go down again. There is no more potential in this country in order to not to sustain only, it is on its own, it's very hard to sustain the growth or the standard of living, but to accelerate it further, it cannot potentially happen. On top of it, you have collapsing healthcare system. What we see in the UK right now with the NHS is what has been going on in Poland for many years. When I came to England in 2010, the Polish system, healthcare system, was something like the NHS right now. I mean, it was like you would wait 6 months or 6 years, depending on specialists. Like, forget about the dentists for the NHS. Like, nobody, that was it, right? Right now, we have this here in the UK, although the system is much bigger. And it's still, I think, kind of working better in the UK. But in Poland, from what I'm hearing on some social media or Polish video, Polish people saying that they can't even get a private visit as easy as it used to be. So forget about the national healthcare system. You can't even get a properly working private system. You can't even pay. You have to pay like a lot. There's like almost like a bribery, right? It's like, hey, doctor, how much for that visit, right? Because I need you because my kid is sick. This is this bad. And if you add on the aging population, natives, immigrants from all over the place, out of control, conflict on our border with say whatever you want about Russia, but they're big and they are dangerous. And they're kind of getting ahead with Ukraine. And Ukraine, I hate to say it, but they're doing better than we would expect them to. Then if these people would come over, if Russia does something stupid with Belarus and other Baltics, what do you think has happened with Poland? It's absolutely crazy where it can go wrong. So the potential for Poland is that little comparing to the risks we have. All my friends, everyone in Poland, and tell me if you agree, if you living in Poland, they talk about, or they think, like, oh God, am I going to get drawn into the army? Are we actually, when is it? It's not even if we're going to go to the war with Russia, it's about when. I mean, they're openly saying that in 2027, which is 1 year from now, 1 year and maybe a few months, it's very little time, openly saying in the media that Russians will attack Poland. I'm not talking about potentially, I don't know if they will, but that's what they're saying, that's the narrative. So naturally, you have all these letters sent to people in Poland to get ready, to get drawn to the army, prepare, all these things, together with saying, the government and everyone saying openly, okay, we've got 1 more year left to prepare. How does this make sense to go back to Poland right now for anyone, or to go to Poland for anyone who's not living, who's not Polish, who's not been there? It's like, why would you leave UK, who's far, far from immediate danger of Russians or Ukrainian war, Russian-Ukrainian wars used to spilling across? We have many problems, obviously, but this is so much more manageable right now compared to what Poland might be facing. Okay, so you're going to have to understand what you see now, the picture of Poland now is the last 35 years, which are now presenting themselves in front of you of how Poland is. What you see the next 12 to 24 months is a completely different picture. And I want you to think about this. If you're Polish, living in Poland, let me know if you agree or if I'm wrong. I know it's going to trigger a lot of people, but let me know if you can with the argument of why you think I'm wrong, okay, and where I'm wrong. Because trust me, I want to be wrong, okay? I want to Poland's beautiful country, and many people would like living there. But what I see for the future moving forward is not as great as people think it is. I say it's the most dangerous country in Europe right now. And if at least half of what I said is going to materialize, it's going to be the end of it. That's going to be the end of 35 years. It's going to be wasted 35 years in potential, as always. And if you look historically back in Poland, well, I think we have like 100% chance that it's going to happen. Because it always happens. Yeah, so think about this. There's more, but I think these are the most important ones. I hope I'm wrong. If you're Polish, living in Poland, cześć, please leave me a comment below and let me know if you agree or disagree, and let me know why. If you're not Polish and you want to move to Poland, let me know if you changed your mind or if you think again before saying again, you should go to Poland, or I would love to move to Poland. It's not as great as you think it is, trust me. And the perspective for the next 12 to 24 months is pretty dangerous. It's the most dangerous place for me in Europe right now. Looking forward, we're not looking backward, okay? It was great to move to Poland 20 years ago, but that train is gone now. You missed the chance. If you like this video, please leave me a like. If you don't like this video, let me know in the comments why. Subscribe to my channel if you wish, please. I appreciate all your support, all the likes, all the comments. If you want to join my community, which is for people like-minded people like me and you, who can talk about these things and actually produce some sort of solutions for problems we're facing, talking about business, growth, clarity, and life in general, you will find the link down in the description. Yeah, I hope I'm wrong, but I know I'm not. At least not on everything. Cheers.